How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 6. So we're following Keiichi again after learning about Rena's past, or at least a lot more of what she went through growing up, and the fact that her parents are indeed separated. And for really shitty reasons, honestly, but it's not too uncommon, and that's not really the point, but it is what it is, and that's Rena's situation. We finally know about it. Now that we know a lot more of Rena's past and how she came to be who she is, how she gained her personality, her attitude, and her thought processes, it helps us understand her more. So with all that in mind, let us continue. But first, I've been holding my can of Pepsi that I opened for the intro in my hand for the past minute. I'm going to take a little sip and we'll get going here.
Ohayo, Rena!
今日はケイチ君の方が早かったね。
普段を棚にあげるわけじゃないが、俺が朝の待ち合わせでレナに勝つなんて珍しいこともあるもんだぜ。
はあ、レナ、今朝はちょっとお寝坊した。昨べ寝疲れなくってね。
レナもか？実は俺もなんだよ。昨日の大騒ぎの余韻がずーっと残っててさ。布団に入っててもなかなか眠くならなくて夜が長く感じたぜ。
Yesterday I had a lot of fun with my friends and went home still riding that high. I was too full to eat dinner. I kept talking with my parents about the great time I had over the past few days. I was so pumped up that I couldn't go to sleep. Kinda sounds like I'm a little kid. But given that Rena seemed to be the same way, I felt better about it. No, I felt better isn't the right way of phrasing it. I should say I'm glad to know that we shared the same feeling. Rena went treasure hunting after I left. I'm sure she found many adorable things, went home, and talked with her parents about how great the day was. No, I don't think that's how it went.
あ、みーちゃんだ。おは
お
よ
お、ミオンが先に待ってるなんて今日は雪が降るかもな。
人が珍しく先に待ってりゃそういうこと言うわけ？
それを言ったら私より先に待ってたケイチ君も珍しいよ。雪が降るかもね。
人のこと言えないね。
It's going to be another happy day today. I had fun the day before yesterday. I had fun yesterday. So I'm going to have fun today for sure. I'm happy and Mion is also happy. Of course, Rena and my other friends are equally happy. I'm not afraid to say it, and I wish these happy days would last forever. That seems to be the common theme among everybody. They just want the happy days.
今日は何をして遊ぼうな。
今日の部活？何がいいだろうね。レナは提案ある？
そうだね。昨日おとといと体を使うゲームが続いたから今日はあまり体に激しくないゲームがいいな。
そうだな。レナの言うのも一理あるぜ。部活は肉体勝負だけが全てじゃねえだろ。
もちろん心技体全ての要素において完璧であってこそ部活メンバーだからね。じゃあ今日は何かテーブルゲームで遊ぶことにしよう。
Everybody was early this morning. We could enjoy our walk to school for once. After a while, we started talking about the upcoming festival. They told me that the festival was called Watanagashi, and that it's the biggest event of the year in Hinamizawa. Oh, it's coming up.
昨日、
As per
木の宮の
usual.
家に親類が集まっていろいろと話が出たんだけどさ、ケイちゃんの話題が出たんだよ。
俺？園崎家の重鎮が集まって一体何の相談だよ。
いやさ、昨日のエンジェルモートでのケイちゃんの活躍を見てた店長の吉郎おじさんがさ、ケイちゃんのことを相当気に入っちゃったみたいでさ、それでいろいろと話を聞いてみたら他の親類も意外にケイちゃんのことを知ってる人が多いんだよね。Hinamizawaの名物男みたいな言われようだったよ。
名物男ってのはまた微妙な称号だな。その称号の9割方はミオンの罰ゲームに関係があるような気がするぞ。
それだけじゃないけどさ、ノリもいいし元気があって無鉄砲なところも今時の若い子にしては感心感心とみんなベタ褒めだったよ。
I felt a bit embarrassed to know that people I haven't even met were speaking well of me.
でね、今後の綿流しのお祭りで何かで活躍してくれないかなって話が出てね。ケイちゃん目立つこととか好きでしょ？
おいおいおいおい、本人不在で勝手に話を進めるな。俺は孤独と静寂を愛するロンリーガイだぜ。
誰がロンリーガイだ。ローンボーイの間違いでしょ。
はあ、ローンってケイチくん、お金に困ってるなら協力するよ。はあ。
I don't think that's the problem here, Rena, but thank you.
そこまで財布事情に困ってねえし、レナも真に受けてそんな目で見るな。
We really were still feeling the after effects of yesterday. Mion and I made a lot of noise, teasing each other on the way to school. Rena watched us and laughed happily. Sadako and Rika-chan were already there when we arrived at school. They were also full of energy. Tomita-kun and Okumura-kun were too, and from that I can tell they also had a good time yesterday. Everybody has been having a good time, really. In Hinamizawa, everybody is happy.
まだ引っ越してきて1年も経ったわけじゃないけどさ。
ん？どうしたの突然。
いやさ、ひなみ沢に引っ越してきて俺幸せになったなって。
Hey, don't speak too soon.
どうしたのケイちゃん、急に臭いこと言い出して。
レナにはわかるよ。ひなみ沢に引っ越してきてすべてが幸せになった気持ちよくわかる。この村にはね、きっと人を幸せにする魔法がかかってるんだと思うから。
レナは幸せか？
うん。レナはひなみ沢に引っ越してきてからが毎日幸せだよ。
そうだな。そいつは俺もだ。
ちょっと、なんかおじさんだけのけ者っぽくない？ブーブー。
The sky was clear and the few thin clouds were pure white. The cry of the cicadas was telling me that summer would be coming earlier than usual. Watanagashi is just around the corner. I'm sure we'll have great fun at the festival too, excuse me. There will be more and more fun days to come, I'm sure of it. Summer is just around the corner. Yeehaw. Sometimes these transitions are just a little too long, and I've got nothing to say. Uh-oh, we're back on Rena, which is actually probably a good thing. I wanna see more from her perspective. The last class of the day was finally over, meaning that it was time for club activities. I was sure it would be fun. I couldn't wait. But then Michan received a call and told us something had come up and she had to go. So we didn't have a club meeting today. I was really looking forward to it. There was nothing I can do, but I could at least chat with Keiichi-kun on the way home. It'll be fun. Keiichi-kun sometimes says mean things, but he's really funny. Or very funny. And when I chat with him, my depression goes away. Wait, what did I just say? Am I depressed? I have so much fun every day. And I'm as happy as can be. What did I have to be depressed about? Well, it was obvious. Because Rina-san, my father is happy now. Because of her. Before he met her, he was like a lamp in broad daylight. Honestly, he was like the living dead. But after he met Rina-san, he started to smile like he used to when he was living with my mother. He enjoyed talking with her and started going out with her. You could probably say they went on dates. Now he looks 20 years younger. Rina-san gets along with my father very well, and she's very kind to me too. There's actually no reason for me to hate her, but the bitter memories of my parents' divorce and my regrets were gradually eating away at my heart. Was it okay to accept that woman? Rina-san might be the same as how Uncle Akihito turned out to be, Is she the enemy who takes my happiness away with her very existence? With or without bad intentions? Am I going to sit around until everything collapses again? Should I fight the enemy before it's too late? Rina-san comes to my house a little too obviously. Excuse me there. Since my father started letting her stay the night, many of her belongings have turned up in the house. My father and I don't smoke, but there's an ashtray in the living room. I see. The futon in our guest room is hers now. In the bathroom, there's a toothbrush and shampoo that I'd never choose to buy. And I started to feel awkward about those things. And that's when I started noticing it at the front door when I came home from school. Her perfume. I asked my father once if he was thinking about getting married to Rina-san. He looked a little embarrassed, perplexed, and confused. He told me not yet. He knew I was hurt by the divorce. And that's probably why he couldn't admit that he wanted to remarry. That's why he said not yet. He'd consider it, but not while I was still living with him. That's what he meant, I guess. There's only one reason why I don't want him to get remarried to Rina-san. I feel offended that my sanctum, my family, is being invaded. I might be selfish, or might be being selfish. Though, I know keeping my father all to myself means keeping him miserable like he was before he met Rina-san. He has a life to live too. It's his right to heal from the pain from the divorce, and to live, and to find his new love. He wouldn't have had to go through that painful life if I'd prevented the divorce from happening in the first place. He has a right to have a happy life that lets him forget the pain he never deserved, and I don't have any right to stop him. In fact, I have an obligation to try to return his happiness to him. I have to pay for my sin, my inability to prevent his divorce. Then what should I do to make both of us happy? It wouldn't be that difficult. All I need to do would be to give my silent approval of their relationship. My father tells me he won't get remarried while we live together. And that means I should stop leaning on my family, be strong, and live on my own as soon as I can. Although that doesn't mean I can tell him not to go out with her until that day. Rina-san comes to our house to see him despite her busy schedule. And she even stays the night whenever her shifts permit. They're adults. I have no right to say anything against that. That's why I chose to give my silent approval to their relationship, and tried to see her as little as I could. I get along with Rina-san on the surface. I know my father would have a hard time keeping face if we didn't. But it's a very exhausting and painful thing to get along with a person I don't really like. So whenever Rina-san comes over, I spend as much time as possible outside and then head home late. Michan's club activities are the most convenient things to do to kill time. But there are some days we don't have a club meeting. On those days, I while away my time, is that right? At the garbage dump hunting for treasure alone. And that's how I started to make my secret hideout. My father can do whatever he wants with Rina-san at home. I don't have to see them together, and I can spend my time peacefully at my hideout. I sometimes feel depressed about my life. I sometimes want to talk to somebody about it, but nothing will change even if I talk to somebody. This is all I can really do. The most important thing for me should be to overcome the sadness of losing my family as soon as I could, and to regain my own happiness, I have so much fun every day. I'm happy every day. Even on the way home, Keiichi was talking about funny things that made me laugh. My feeling gloomy in spite of that was kind of rude. My father should be happy. I should be happy. I just feel sad because I still can't separate from my father. Compared to the unexpectedness of the divorce, Rina-san's invasion is a very slow process. I think Rina-san understands how I feel. She treats me very kindly, and she doesn't do more than that. I think she understands that I'd feel uncomfortable if she did. I respect Rika-chan because she's strong even without her parents. Compared to the pain of losing both her parents unexpectedly, my problem is like nothing. I respect Soroko-chan's toughness too. She also lost her parents and was forced to live with a painful life under her uncle and aunt. Compared to the cruel treatment she had to go through, my relationship with Rina's son is a blessed one. I keep feeling anxious, but that's just because I'm still immature and because I feel like I'm not ready to separate from my father. I have to be strong like Rika-chan and Soroko-chan. I have to try my best to be happy. I'm going to live with all my might in order to regain the peace of mind that I lost that day. My assumption that I'm not happy is just a mistake. I should appreciate the wonderful days I spend with my wonderful friends. Just by realizing that I'm happy, the world shines so brightly.
それでね、あんまりにも可愛いから、レナ、はお持ち帰りって。
やれやれ。
As per
レ
usual,
ナは毎日を楽しく過ごすことに関しては達人だな。
レナは毎日が楽しいよ。こんなにも素敵な友人たちに囲まれて過ごす、こんなにも素晴らしい日々があって、どうして不幸が感じられる？
だな。不幸なんかここにはないよ。いつまでも楽しくて不幸なことなんかとは一切無縁。それがひなみざわってとこなんだからよ。
he should have stopped right there, but he just kept going.
レナが羨ましいよな。その悩み知らずな能天気さが羨ましいぜ。
はあ、バカにされてるっぽい気がする。でも毎日が楽しいなら、私は能天気でもいいかな。
I don't have any worries. I feel like I do, but that's just because I'm immature and still want my father's attention. Come on, say the magical words. It'll cheer you up.
はあ、
ん？
It didn't make sense to say it now, but I was going to say it anyway, because this is my magical phrase that always cheers me up.
お持ち帰り。
なんだよ突然。でもそれでこそレナだぜ。
That's right. This is me, Rena. I'm not Rena. Rena still wants her parents' attention. Rena is a goofy and carefree girl. She knows that every day, is full of happiness, and she has the kind heart to appreciate it too. I should forget about icky things. I should live a wonderful life free of anything icky. Icky starts with I, and that's why I got rid of the I in Rena. Is that really the reasoning then? Is that really it? I'm Rena. I'm going to recapture the happiness that I lost when I left Hinamizawa. I will overcome any pain and hardship. I can be happy because I got rid of icky things. I'm sure there are only incredible things waiting for me. Oh, incredible starts with I too. Guess we gotta get rid of that one, huh? We can't be incredible. I was almost home, and when my house appeared, I noticed something different there. There was a truck parked in front of my house. There was nothing on the back of it, but I can tell it brought something here, because I saw some cardboard boxes, blankets, and ropes on the ground. Uh-oh, somebody's moving in. From the front of the house, I heard voices of two young men saying, "Well, we'll be going now." They passed me by as I walked towards the front door. They were wearing some kind of work uniforms, and they looked like delivery people. My father was about to close the door when he noticed me.
ただいま。何かあったの？
おかえり、レーナ。見てごらん。すごいぞ。
My father looked to be in a good mood. I didn't know why he was, but whenever he smiled like that, I just wanted to smile back at him. His eyes used to look like those of a dead fish, no matter how hard I tried to smile at him. But these days, he could put on a big smile just to surprise me. He has been literally coming back to life since a year ago when we moved back to Hinamizawa. No, since he started dating Rina-san. When I see him smile like this, I'm happy, but at the same time, I feel confused because I don't know whether I should thank Rina-san or not, excuse me.
ほら、すごいだろ。
He took me to the living room. He was probably expecting me to go ooh and ah. So whether there was something in the living room or not, I was ready to go ooh and ah for him.
はあ、
I tried to sound excited and surprised. He was standing behind me, probably smiling with satisfaction at hearing my excited voice. I, on the other hand, was desperately trying to understand what was going on. For a moment, I thought I was in someone else's house. You see, the living room had been completely redecorated. The furniture we had was all basically from the former house in Ibaraki. My parents bought most of the furniture when they got married, so it was all old and a little dirty. Some of them still had crayon scribbles I drew when I was very little. But all of that was gone. Everything in the living room had turned into a pastel color, looking very sophisticated like the rooms you'd see in soap operas. The new carpet looked very tropical, and the new curtains matched with the carpet, as they should. The new sofa looked very expensive. The living room in general looked like a resort hotel. The channel switcher on our old TV was broken and we used to have to use pliers to change channels, but it was gone too, replaced by a new one with a big screen. The room's lights had also been replaced with nicer looking ones. The living room looked like a totally different world under the new fluorescent lights.
すごいね、お父さん。これはどうしたの？
心機一転さ。もう引っ越してきて1年にもなるんだから、お父さんもそろそろ気分を切り替えて、新しい生活に踏み出さないとなって思ったんだよ。
That's fair. Nothing wrong with that. I suggested redecorating the house once in order to cheer him up because he was still in pain after the divorce, but he wasn't interested at that time. He didn't want to get rid of the old furniture he had chosen with my mother because he still couldn't get over her even though she cruelly broke up with him. I wanted to suggest it again when the time was right. I never thought he'd do it on his own initiative.
そうだね。こんな綺麗なお部屋だと心も晴れ晴れするもんね。素敵なお部屋だと思うよ。
いいだろう。ほら、レーナ。お前、ユリースに憧れてたろ。まだ組み立ててないけど、ほら、ちゃんとあるんだぞ。はう、お父
さんすごいすごいすごい。これ私がもらってもいいのかな？
こらこら、それはみんなの共用のものだから。
共用でもレナが占領しちゃうからダメ。
My father explained the details of his redecoration proudly. He told me that he only did the living room this time, but he's going to redecorate all of the other rooms. He sure had become more active. There are some parts about the redecoration I didn't like, but I still thought it was great because it made him happy. I found the old furniture outside in the yard.
あれは捨てちゃうの？
まあ、この際だと思ってな。後で業者が引き取りに来てくれることになってる。
Getting rid of the old furniture means putting an end to my mother. I hated the furniture because it smelled like my mother and I tried to break everything once. I understand why my father wants to take this opportunity to get rid of them. But for some reason, this new living room makes me feel like I no longer belonged here. My father didn't choose the new furniture. Rina-san probably did. Most likely, my father and Rina-san decided to redecorate the living room and went to a furniture store to buy everything. I tried to think positively. The reason why my father didn't tell me about the redecoration was because he wanted to surprise me. No, my father never really considers things that deeply. So I suppose he didn't tell me because he just didn't think he needed to tell me. I'm sure he didn't redecorate the living room to make me feel like I was no longer welcome. Don't be negative, Rena. My father didn't have any bad intentions. He doesn't want to get rid of me. He doesn't think I'm the reason he can't get remarried. And yet, why did I feel sad looking at the old furniture in the yard? Why did I feel like I didn't belong? I realized the reason right away. That reason was me. To him, wanting to have a fresh start by getting rid of the things that reminded him of my mother might be an indication of his unconscious desire to get rid of her daughter. My father doesn't really consider things deeply, so he might not be thinking that I'm the reason he can't get remarried. But he understands that he can't get remarried while we live together. By staying with him, I'm torturing my father. It was my fault that he had to get a divorce, and that's why I have to support him, to help recapture his happiness. I couldn't just keep them all to myself. I'd have to start thinking about living on my own. I don't need to go to university. I should think about getting a job. But who would hire an uneducated girl like me? Even if somebody did hire me, I wouldn't be able to earn enough money to live on my own. Maybe I should think about working at a hostess club, like Rina-san does. People only choose the jobs they can. A girl like me doesn't have a lot of choices. Not a lot of companies would hire me or pay the amount of money that I need to live on my own. But, come to think of it, where is the place I belong, or where I belong? Whenever I end up feeling like this, I miss my secret hideout in the trash piles. I love to get under the blanket and feel the warmth on a cold night. The hideout gets hot and humid during the day and very cold at night. It's not a comfortable place to spend time in, but it might be the place where I can relax the most, more than I can at my house. No, I shouldn't think like this. I shouldn't think that my house has been invaded by Rina-san. I should thank her for making my father happy. Rina-san isn't trying to kick me out of the house. She's trying to get along with me. But I'm not opening my heart to her. I'm the bad one. I'm the bad one. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Satoshi-kun and his aunt didn't get along at all. And she abused him for a long time. Compared to him, my situation is a lot easier. Sadako-chan and Rika-chan lost their parents, and they live together now. They've been through very hard times, and on the other hand, I still live with my father. I should feel blessed. I shouldn't think I'm unhappy just because of these things. I am happy. I am blessed. The trouble with me is that I still can't admit that I'm happy. My father kept talking proudly about the redecoration. I nodded at him with a big smile and let him keep at it.
そうだ、いけない。レイナ、すまないんだが、ちょっとお使いを頼めないか？
お使い？いいよ。
お父さんな、ジャケットを2着ほど洋服屋さんに取り寄せさせてるんだ。それがな、今日届くらしいんだ。ちょっとお父さんは回収業者さんを手伝わなきゃならないから、レーナが代わりに取ってきてくれないか？
いい。お店を教えて。どんなジャケットを取り寄せたんだろう。楽しみ。
No matter what they look like, I'm sure Rina-san picked them out for him. Although I don't mind going, I'd rather go to the store than listen to his stories about the redecoration of our living room. I got the receipt, asked him where the store is, changed my clothes, and then left the house. I started pedaling my bicycle and looked at the old furniture in the yard for the last time. They used to be the object of my hatred, but for some reason, they now made me feel sentimental. Excuse me, is it because I still regret the loss of my mother? Even though I hate her? I couldn't let poisonous emotions take over my heart. I understand that in my mind, but I still couldn't get rid of that feeling. The old furniture wasn't the only stuff that was kicked out of the house. There was also a lot of junk that I brought home from the landfill. My father was probably going to throw that away too. He doesn't like the junk I collect. He'll probably let the delivery company take it all together with the old furniture. Just like an animal that rubs its scent on its home in order to feel secure, I collected all the junk in order to make sure that I could stay here. No, that's not it. I wanted to bring them to my house because they were abandoned by their former owners, and they needed a place to live. Interesting, if I do say so myself. I need to redecorate. I need some new shit. I need a new chair. This one squeaks. Sometimes it can be picked up on the microphone. It is embarrassing. The store where my father ordered the jackets from is a fancy boutique. It's hard to believe my father would shop at a store like this on his own. I could tell right away that Rina-san took him here. I handed over his receipt to the cashier, and a short time later, the store manager came out wearing a perplexed look.
リュウグ様、大変申し訳ございません。実は入荷のトラックが高速で事故渋滞に巻き込まれているようでございまして、おそらくはもうじき到着すると思うのですが。
He said that the driver, called a while ago, told him he just got off the highway and he would be here in about an hour. I didn't need to know all the details, but he explained them to me anyway. I asked him if I should come back tomorrow. He insisted I should wait because the truck would be coming shortly, and he urged me to take a seat on their sofa. But I didn't really feel comfortable waiting here, so I told him I'd be back soon and left the store. I wondered if there are any fast food restaurants nearby. I might have to go all the way back to the station. I looked around and found a coffee house. The glass on the door was black, so I couldn't see inside. But there was a poster saying the price for a cup of tea is lower than normal for women on weekdays. I'd just be going to get a cup of tea to kill some time. It should be okay. But still, I hesitated to go inside before opening the door. Her first... Oh wait, what the fuck? This is not white text. It's obviously not pink. It's kind of green. Is that green text? Or have I been staring at pink for so long that, like, my vision is a little fucky? I'm pretty sure that's green. Her first impression of the coffee house was the smell of cigarettes. It's normal for coffee houses to be filled with cigarette smoke. It's like a requirement. Maybe it is white and I'm just losing my fucking mind. But Rena still regretted her decision. While she was thinking about leaving, the proprietor spoke to her brusquely and showed her to her table. Rena gave up on the idea of leaving and sat down. The atmosphere in the shop was far from a clean, normal coffee house where you would go to simply enjoy coffee and cigarettes. It was more like a place where vulgar people would hang around. Well, that's lovely. Rena didn't feel comfortable at all, but what bothered her most was the laughter of a man and a woman sitting together in the very back of the shop. Her table was behind a planter, so depending on how you looked at it, one could say she was in a spot most protected from their laughter. But Rena looked as though she wanted to leave as soon as she finished her tea. The bell hanging from the entrance door rang, letting her know a customer just came in. It was a little surprising for her that a coffee shop like this could draw in so many customers. Rena peeked at the newcomers from behind the planter. There were two of them. They looked like vulgar men, the kind of people you didn't want to get involved with the instant you saw them. The proprietor tried to show them to a table, but they ignored him and walked towards the back. They walked up to the couple who had been laughing loudly and greeted them with a bow. Oh no. God fucking damn it. The couple stopped laughing and the man told the newcomers to sit down in a threatening voice. Well, now that the more I look at this text, it is white. I'm pretty sure this is white text. When you stare at the colors for so long, like pink, and then you flash back to white, I guess, depending on the colors that are around it, it can look a little weird. As instructed, the two of them took a seat. The two of them looked at each other before they each took an envelope out of their pockets and put it on the table. The man roughly grabbed the two envelopes and tore one of them open. Inside, there were many wrinkled 10,000 yen bills bound into a bundle with a rubber band. He opened the other one to make sure it also had cash in it. And then threw it to the woman. Interesting. The man yelled at the woman. She licked her thumb, looking annoyed, and started counting the cash expertly. The two newcomers hung their heads while she counted. Lighting a cigarette, the man waited for her to finish counting. The woman said that after flicking through the last bill. The newcomers looked relieved. The man, however, didn't look satisfied as he stared at the bundle of the bills the woman was holding. The man and Ritsuko yelled at each other. Even though they were making all that noise, the other customers acted like they didn't hear anything. The two of them were trying to find some excuses to make. It seemed like this behavior had touched the man's nerves as he started looking furious. His angry voice echoed through the shop. He hit the table hard and dropped a glass on the floor. The noise thickened the tension in the atmosphere.
すんまへん。すまんで済んだら警察はいらんちゅうねん。ごしとら誰どこ出ても一個に構わんでんの。それはどうかご勘弁ください。
The two newcomers must have had an extremely vulnerable... It must have been in an extremely vulnerable position, excuse me. They bowed so deeply that their foreheads almost touched the table.
それを勘弁したるって今日呼んだんねん。それがどういうけじめのつけ方な。あ？すんまへん、エロすんまへん。
While you could pity them, the newcomers looked as vulgar as the man threatening them, making it hard to decide whether you should feel sorry for them or not. After a while, Ritsuko opened her mouth as if to offer them help.
てっちゃん、凄んじゃかわいそうでしょ。ごめんね。うちの人、銭絡むとすぐトサカに来ちゃう人で。
銭絡むと余計だねん。お前にあやつけよったんから本気になっとんよ、おら。
もう、バカなこと言っても何にも出ないわよ。
The man pulled Ritsuko roughly into his arms and frantically kissed her lips without caring about the other customers. Their kiss wasn't like the lovely ones that normal couples would share. It looked obscene instead. He let her lips go to take a breath, kissed them again, and then repeated that for a while. What, in front of these two guys? After a while, he finally got bored of kissing and let her go.
うちの人は私のことになるとすぐ頭に血が上っちゃうのよね。困ったもんなのよ。
ああ、そうよ。こいつと俺はいわば一心同体ね。この女に泥塗り腐るやつは俺に塗ったんと同じやんな。血祭りじゃすまんね
え。いつぞやかの、ほら、あいつ。あれ、表連れてってからどうしたんだったっけ？
あんバカが。表へ出ろとか抜かしょんから、かかとくれてやったわ。野郎空手やるとか抜かしおるからどの程度か思うたん。ちょっとしばいたら即土下座やん。拍子抜けしたからズボン脱がせて、そいつでこの表の歩道を磨かせてやったわ。
Jesus.
おお、俺町の役に立っとんね。
Is that what you want to call it?
お役所に表彰してもらいたいんわ。
やだ、そんなことさせたの？あんたって時々容赦がないのよね。
They started laughing loudly like they were doing earlier, and their laughter obviously intimidated their companions.
ねえあんたたち、てっちゃん、今日はね、すっごく機嫌がいいの。普段だったら銭が足りんって騒ぎ出して、今頃あんたたちすっぱだかにされて玉子川に叩き込まれてるわよ。
すまへんすまへん。まあ利子は忘れたちゅうたかて、かっちり期日までに額を揃えたんだきゃ感心さな。そこいらへん評価したってもええんで。
それでね、てっちゃんの利子ちょいとあんまりだと思ったのよ。今日だから5本で済むけど、すぐに売買ゲームになっちゃうでしょ。そしたらあんたたちすぐに逆立ちしても払えなくなっちゃうわよ。でね、私あんたたちにいい話があんの。てっちゃん、悪いけどあんたちょっと席を外してちょうだい。
しょうがねえな。
The man left the table with a grin and headed for the bathroom. He was far too amenable for that request, or to that request, as if they'd planned for him to leave the table at that moment. Ritsuko made sure he was in the bathroom, then took some papers out of her bag and spread them out on the table.
あんたたちも若いんだから、あんなヤクザに絡まれて一生を不意にしたくないでしょ。だからね、てっちゃんの利子は今日きっちり払っちゃいなさい。そうすればあんたたちはとりあえずあいつとは縁を切れるわけなんだから。
そりゃそうですけど、でも50万なんてこれ以上もう払えないっす。
まあそうよね。200万だって相当精一杯集めたんでしょ。さらに50万も工面できるあてなんてないでしょう。
They must have done their very best to collect even the money they brought today. So it must be impossible for them to collect even a dime from anybody now. They hung their heads and told her that.
でね、ほら、気を利かせて、私が書いてきてあげたのよ。
The guys looked at the paper on the table and muttered under their breaths.
担保も連帯もいらないんで、ちょいと利率はあれだけど、これなら即50万積んでくれるわよ。それにさ、この利率でもてっちゃんの利率よりははるかにマシだと思うんだけど、どう思うかしら？
It would be easy for anyone to guess what Ritsuko was trying to force them to do.
これにサインしたのを見せれば、彼も男気を感じて勘弁してくれると思うわね。どうする？あ、万年筆。使うなら置いとくわよ。
They read the small print on the documents and were stunned by the outrageous interest rate. Ritsuko didn't force them to do anything. She just looked out the window and smoked her cigarette. After a while, the man returned from the bathroom.
おう、話はついたが。
They looked at him, still to themselves, and then took the pen.
てっちゃんの利子、借金で一括返済するって。
おお、関心なワーコードだね。男は背負うもんがなくちゃあかんね。
They must have planned this from the very beginning. The man and Ritsuko got what they wanted and grinned at each other. There were many things to fill out the documents, and it was taking them a long time. The man and Ritsuko, already knowing that, started talking amongst themselves.
リツコ、お前のHinamizawaの旦那の調子はどうなんね？
旦那なんてよしてよね。
どうなんよ。だいぶ銭持っとんと聞かされてるん。
Oh, fuck.
どのぐらい絞れそうなんよ。
そうそう、それがさ、すっごいのよ。別れた奥さんがだいぶ慰謝料をくれたらしいってのは聞いてたのよ。でもね、それが本当にすっげえあるらしいのよね。
かなりってどのぐらいね？
銀行に5000万くらい持ってるわよ。あぶく銭なわけだしね。
なんねそれ。で、どの辺まで行けそうなんね？
私にだいぶお熱みたいだからね。だって私が言えば何でも買うのよ。何でも。あんたみたいなドケチとは大違いよね。私も本気になっちゃおうかしら。
昔はボケ。俺以上の男が他にいるか。
もうこんなところでよしてよ。
で、そのHinamizawaの旦那にどう持ってくつもりなんよ。
あんたを出しに手切れ金がいるって方向で持ってくつもりなのよ。
なんぼふっかけるつもりね。
そりゃ
つっくづく恐ろしい女じゃんねえ。エキストラがいるときは呼んでな。俺も大暴れしちゃるんで。
すみません、書きました。
ああ、じゃそれ持ってローン行こうか。リツコ、会計頼むね。
The man pat them on their shoulders and then walked to the door. Another person was just about to enter, and they nearly ran into each other. The man probably wouldn't make way for the person considering his personality. But when he noticed who that person was, he stepped aside. Oh my god, what the fuck is happening? This is like the biggest crossover of the history of fucking crossovers. Fuck the Avengers. Fuck the Timmy Jimmy Power Hour. What is with all these characters that have nothing to do with one another suddenly having things to do with one another? The person looked as vulgar as all the other men. He was wearing a black suit with sunglasses on. It wasn't that big, but his stern look was very intimidating. It was clear at a glance that he was a gangster, and a professional one at that. The man who was behaving badly earlier looked a little nervous in front of him. As Ritsuko finished paying the check, she noticed the man in the suit.
総支配人。どうもおはようございます。
Yep, that's Kasai. The man in the suit said nothing. He just raised his chin as if saying, fuck off. Ritsuko and the others bowed to him and left the shop in a hurry. The proprietor noticed the man in the suit, also greeting him with a bow. Who could he have been? He appeared sedate compared to the other men, but he must be dangerous because he made even them step aside. Everybody in the shop thought the same thing and tried not to look at him. The man in the suit looked around and found the menu on the wall. The proprietor walked up to him hesitantly.
Master.
はい。何か部長報がございましたでしょうか。
この日替わりデザートのスイートなんとかというのは今日はやっているのか。
いえ、本当は今日はやってないんですが、どうしてもとおっしゃるんでしたら特別にご用意を。
無理なら無理と言ってくれればいい。出直す。
Oh, okay. Well, there we fucking go. All right. Well, that just kind of clears shit up.
特別にご用意って言ってくれてるじゃないですか。ここまで来てみっともない。
The girl seemed to be the only one who couldn't read the heavy atmosphere in the shop, as she came in laughing cheerfully. It was Mion Sonozaki's twin sister, Shion. Shion pushed Kasai into the store while he hesitated. She looked at a girl who was sitting down and stopped in her tracks.
あれ？やっぱりそうだ。ハロロー。レナさんじゃないですか。こんにちは。
しーちゃん？
こんなとこで会うなんてびっくりです。あれ？お一人？ひょっとして誰かと待ち合わせ？お姉かな？いやいや、ひょっとしてケイちゃんかな？
しーちゃん、その連れの人は？
葛西のこと？まあ、私のボディーガードとか思っといてください。命の危険が迫ったら葛西が守ってくれるんだよね。
それがお望みでしたら命に変えてでも。
うわー、葛西、あと20も若かったらやばいかもだね。顔は怖いけど面白いやつです。
I mean, I like him.
こちらはね、竜宮レナさん、お姉のお友達。
葛西です。よろしく。
葛西さん、さっきすれ違った人たちは知り合いですか？
Kasai nodded, indicating that he was familiar with them.
誰？私は全然あんなの見たことないけど。
男は北条哲平。ちょいと礼儀知らずのろくでなしです。
Goddamn right. Shion seemed to know who he was once she heard the name Hojo.
女の人の方は？
マミやリナ。源氏名だと思いました。確か律子って名前だったかと。フラワーロードの店の一つで働いてる従業員です。
葛西さん、リナさんとその北条さんはどういう人たちなんですか？とても仲が良さそうに見えました。
北条は確かリナとは深い仲かと。
Okay, well, he just flat out admitted it.
たちの
No
悪
need
い
to
連
piece
中
that
です
one
ので、
together, huh?
関わり合いになられない方がいいと思います。
どうたちが悪いんですか？
Rena pressed him for the answer, and Kasai seemed to back down a little from that pressure.
女の私生活には触れないのが仁義ってもんです。
どうたちが悪いんですか？
それはご勘弁を。
どうたちが悪いんですか？
Rena kept asking the same question until she got an answer. Shion sensed how desperate Rena was and cut into the conversation. Oh shit, excuse me. Cut into the conversation. Maybe it's not a good idea to drink fucking soda while doing these recording sessions.
意地悪しないで教えてあげなさいよ。興味本位で聞いてるわけじゃなさそうだしさ。ね、レナさん。
There was tension developing between Rena and Kasai. Shion seemed to be the only one who couldn't read the mood. Kasai finally opened his mouth.
あの二人はたちの悪いろくでなしどもです。
Okay, before we actually get the information dump, because I feel like that's what's coming up, we'll end the episode here because I'm pretty much out of time. I think this was a pretty good length episode. Wow, things are getting really interesting. Obviously, I didn't say anything. Once I saw the name Tepe, I thought, huh, that seems kind of familiar. And then it immediately came back to me. We know that name, but I don't think we had ever seen a sprite for him. That is the bad boy uncle. the one that really makes things difficult in Chapter 3. I didn't know that he was involved in this sort of shit, and involving Rena? That really just changes everything. My completely baseless predictions that I had thrown around earlier are way off the mark more than ever after we heard Rena's feelings about Rena, and now that we've actually seen really who she may be. So, I guess in the next episode we'll hear it from the big boy himself, Kasai, the information gatherer that he is in the underworld, and just see, truly, is Rena somebody that is not trustworthy? Somebody that maybe we should be absolutely wary of, and maybe make sure that we get her father away from her. Her being Rena, and then last her being Rena. Okay, well, I'm confusing myself. Anyways, holy shit. Wow. Alright, what an episode. I am drained. Thank you all for watching this one. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz. I'll see you guys in the next episode. I'm assuming it'll be a good one. And when are they not? See you guys then. Take it easy.